Okay, good to go.
Hey, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining our Tech Talk with the Tech Academy. Hope everyone's having a great Friday. Today we have a special guest. We have Michael here, who's a recruiter. They're going to talk about how to break in this competitive market. He's going to start his presentation, but if you have any questions, leave it in the chat box and we'll definitely get to it at the end of the chat, at the end of the Tech Talk. But go ahead and take it away, Michael. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is my third talk that I've done with your organization. Always nice to come back and do these. The first one I did with Tech Academy was, gosh, it might have been close to the end of 2020 or right at the beginning of 2021, and then we did another one last spring. Um, and the market in just the last year has changed astronomically. Not only from the number of companies looking to hire tech talent, but the number of tech talent individuals who are looking for a new job. And so it's competitive on both the demand and supply side. And so coming in from an entry level area is hard to break in. It's really hard. And so being able to kind of separate yourself from others and doing things that are kind of outside the box is probably the best way to go about being competitive in this market. A little bit about our company. We are called Edgelink. We were founded in Portland, Oregon in 2003. We've expanded our offices throughout the West. So we have an office in Salt Lake City. We have one in Denver. We're about to open one up in Phoenix. And so we're continually growing. We focus solely on technical recruitment with our clients. We do both contract to hire and direct hire. Across the board in tech. So software development, cloud engineering, networking, systems, product management, support, software support, QA, anything that is related to tech, we work on. Our niche is working with smaller companies, companies like 500 people or less, where we can have and build a relationship within the leadership form of the company that we're working with. We have direct access to all hiring managers, all hiring authorities, all HR, talent acquisition, and that's how we build our businesses through those channels to get the jobs that we work on. The majority of the jobs, and I say majority, I'd say 90, 95% of our jobs are mostly senior level. When I say senior level, I mean 5+ years of experience within the certain realm that we'll be searching for. But we do have clients that look for entry level individuals or people trying to break in. They just don't have us work on those jobs. But we do have those relationships with the clients that are having that. So just a little bit about us. And so we'll kind of just get started here. So just the agenda that we're kind of going to go through here today. We'll talk about market trends and analysis of what's happening right now in the market. We'll talk about formulating a plan for yourself, like what kind of jobs to go after, what new skills you might need to learn, how to network, apply, and actually follow up on getting a job. And then we'll talk a little bit about interviewing tactics, getting prepared, showing interest, and whatnot. When we're going through this, right? And I don't know the background of everybody who's gone through the academy, or if you are, what stage you are in of your job search. I come into this assuming that everybody has done some sort of a web development or a data track or whatever your track might be, but you have some sort of skills that you can take to getting your job, right? Your job in IT. So mostly going to be focused on the software development side of how to break into a software development job. But if anybody has any questions outside of software development or web development, I will definitely be able to answer those at the end. So current market trends. So the growth of the market. So currently, these are just kind of some numbers. So 72% of tech talent would consider a job change. So this is from Yahoo Finance on a survey done actually just last month. So this is 72% of the current workforce that have technical jobs across the board currently employed people, 72% of them would consider a change. In software development, specifically, salaries are up 18% over the last year. So we're seeing that trend go way up, and it kind of happens with the candidates asking for more and demanding more. The candidates own the market right now, and that's a trend that has flipped from previous to 2021. The clients, the employers, the companies that people are working for kind of controlled it. But now there's a lot more variables that go into it, including remote, cost of living really going up. Candidates just have more options these days because they don't have to go into the office to get a job. They can go anywhere. So that's a big trend that's happening. There are currently over 900,000 technical jobs across the United States. Technical jobs, there's a lot of technical jobs. We're not just talking software development here, we're talking across the board. So, but there are plenty of jobs out there to go take. And there has been a 357% increase in remote jobs just in the last year. Remote jobs started back in March of 2020 when the pandemic hit. And the people who are smarter than I am predicted that people are going to start going back to the office, and that never really happened. Some companies have to because of the type of work they do, but the remote work lifestyle is not slowing down by any means. It is continuing to grow. These are the type of jobs that are in demand currently, and so these jobs are ones that are hiring the most across the board within the tech world. So database developers and architects, database development has grown tremendously because data is king now. Everybody needs your data. Everybody needs you to accept their cookies. Everybody needs this stuff. And so database development is very, very hot. Security engineering, because of, we're talking about like hackers and people poaching, and there are IT security, network security, software security. Those jobs have been on the rise. I mean, they've been on the rise for the last 20 years, but they continue to grow and grow. Software development is also always in need, and that's across the full stacks, whether you're just a web developer or you are designing and implementing back-end systems that are distributed and highly scalable. Software development is always in demand. Cloud engineering. So cloud engineering is like infrastructure, talking with like AWS, Azure, GCP. There's a lot of other clouds out there, but those are the three main ones that are used usually within a software development or a product development company. So cloud engineering, and with cloud engineering comes a lot of other types of jobs like support jobs, system support, system and analyst. So there's a lot of opportunity and subsets of opportunities within that realm. Web development is always there. Freelancing has really picked up over the last couple of years. Just going out, if you got the skills and you can do it and you can sell and you can market yourself, you can probably go build up websites and make a pretty good living in freelancing if you're a skilled web developer. And then software support is a very large one in a great way, and we're going to be talking quite a bit about software support today. And then system analyst. So I don't know. Do we have any questions within the chat that are new here?
So far, not yet.
Okay, perfect. So I guess from the perspective, like, and we don't have to go over this right now, but if you have questions about the challenges that you are facing on the job market. So maybe you're just starting the academy, and so you're not really on the job market next, so you don't have those questions. But individuals who maybe graduated or who are trying to get into the workforce now, I would love to hear the types of challenges you're facing or questions you might have of how to combat those challenges. So you can put that stuff in the chat, and we'll get on it towards the end. So formulating a plan. We're talking about job targets. So when you are trying to go find a job in a competitive market where your competition has experience, maybe started out in doing IT in college, right? They didn't change careers. Like when they got to college, they decided, okay, I'm going to go down the IT path. They got a computer science degree, an information sciences degree, whatever that, a technical degree of some sort. They started that. So that's your competition. Stiff competition. A lot of them are looking. Remember, 72% of those individuals are looking. So it's like, how do I break in? Like maybe ultimately you want to be a software developer. Maybe you want to be a front end UI engineer, a back end engineer, whatever your path might be. But the best way to break in today against the competition is take the jobs that they don't want. Um, and so we talk about job targets. So software support jobs. So big on this. This is a huge job because a lot of the companies that are hiring and have a distributed product need support on it. And there's different tiers of software support. There's different experience levels that need to be at software support or desktop support, whatever you want to call that. But first and foremost is having good customer service skills, having some sort of way with people, being able to be personable, understanding their challenges, asking great questions. So that's like number one, right? Are you a good communicator? Are you articulate? Do people like you? That's a big deal for software support. Another requirement for those jobs is having some sort of a technical background, right? Whether that is just using JavaScript or having another framework on the front end, or maybe you're a back end person and you understand data or use Python or whatever that might be, but have some sort of technical skill set to understand what the problem is, being able to troubleshoot those problems for the customer and get the product up and running. Software support jobs are um, they're great for entry level people because the companies that are hiring for them just need some sort of skill set of the customer service and some skill set in technical background, whatever that technical background might be. I've seen a lot of individuals who break into the tech world in this job, but ultimate goal is to become a backend engineer, or the ultimate goal is to become a UI engineer or a cloud engineer or whatever it might be. But the goal is to get into the company, not with your end job first, with the job just to get you in. So getting your foot in the door somehow, some way, showcasing your skills after getting hired and having a career plan of like, this is ultimately what I want to do. And you work towards that through a first job. Another job is an implementation engineer or an integration engineer. Same kind of deal. The difference between the software support is software support's kind of in-house. A ticket comes in, you're going to fix the bug or fix whatever's wrong with the product and get it back out so the customer is satisfied. Whereas implementation engineer is more on the front end. So a sales individual sells the product to company B. Company B is ready to launch the product, so they need somebody internally from our company to go implement the software, get it into their ecosystem. So again, customer service, you're going to be facing the customer quite a bit, understanding the requirements, understanding how they want the workflow of the software to work within their environment. Um, and so like some sort of level of scripting, because usually these products, when they go out into being implemented for a customer, um, they have some sort of customizable widgets that can be just for that customer. So the product comes out, it's out of the box, right? But there's customizable widgets that need to be made for that customer. So being able to script with JavaScript, Python, C Sharp, Java, whatever that product is actually written in, being able to implement that. And then understanding integration. So this is like APIs, backend, understanding how systems talk to each other. But this is the type of job that if you have a technical background, good sales background or customer service background, there's a lot of entry level positions where you can break in this route as well. And these routes also have a very good track record of getting in and working your way up into the type of position that you want. And then lastly, with these jobs is communication and organization. Those are always big for both of these jobs, the software support and implementation engineer. Another route is the test engineer. So QA engineer, software development and test. With these jobs, you might need to learn something extra to go in. So let's say you are strong with JavaScript or you're strong with C Sharp, and but you're having trouble get into an organization as a software engineer. Well, they might have a test engineer job. Test engineer job um, requires some sort of automation. So if you wanted to break in as a test engineer, I think especially for individuals who are early on in the program or have time to actually take it on, there's a lot of really good resources out there where you can learn new skills. So like, let's say you know JavaScript really well. Well, if you wanted to go the test engineering route to break into your career, Cypress is a automation tool that is used on the front end for testing the UI. And so you would go out and you would take, let's just say 3 months, right? 90 days to go learn Cypress, become and know Cypress back and forth to break in. Or let's say you wanted to do a back end like Java, you understand Java, or you write C Sharp. Usually Selenium is the automation framework that you would be using for the testing on that side. So learning and continuing to learn new skills is always big. So if you wanted to go the test engineering route, it's a good way to break in because there's always not enough test engineers out there. And then it comes back to another requirement would be scripting. So test engineer, and then another way we were talking about database. Data is king right now. Everybody needs data. Everybody wants everybody's data. So the more information they have on the consumer, the more that consumer is going to use their product or service. So this would come in with requirements like with database, you're going to use a lot of Python and SQL, understanding databases, how databases work, how data needs to be parsed. So there's automation tools along with data, but SQL and Python, those two skills are very, if you know SQL and you know Python, you're employable. I mean, those are really two big skills that are big when it comes to database or even development, especially if you're going to like a Microsoft, Microsoft C#.net engineer, and you got SQL. SQL is always a big plus for people because companies want individuals who understand databases, and then proficiency with Excel or other database management tools. So as far as the career path goes, there are different options. So like if you're a web developer or you're an engineer and just can't break in, think about taking those other career paths like the software development, the implementation engineer, desktop support, QA, testing. There's different routes that you can take. And if you're patient, right, you go do that job for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden your real career as a software developer or something else will start and come from that. But the key is to just get your foot in the door, take jobs that other people may not want. That's a big deal. It might, takes a little bit of pride out of you. You got to take your pride away sometimes. But I think the ultimate goal is for everybody to start a tech career. And it's not just about, satisfying your needs in the first year. It's like, what is my career going to look like in 10 years? And always to try to keep that in perspective is very important. It's not about right now. It's about what you want your career to look like. So questions on career path, go ahead and type those in. We can get on that. And then kind of the way to formulate your plan and how you can kind of get into the competitive market and what you need to do. So there's the steps to this are being able to focus on what type of job to go after, right? Don't just apply to everything and try to talk to everybody about just getting in. Actually focus on a certain realm or a certain topic that you want to go in. So like, let's say, okay, I'm just going to focus on software support engineering jobs. Well, one, you gotta understand what that job is, what the requirements are, and make that your job search. Like you become a software support person. Those are the types of jobs you're going for. When you break it down to just looking for the type of job you want to go after and make that your goal, it becomes a lot easier. The spray method or whatever it is, where I'm just going to apply to everything and hope something hits, doesn't really work much anymore. You got to be much more targeted and stick to your guns on that. Learning new skills before applying, right? I.e., you talked about the test engineer. If you were going to go after a test engineer job, maybe you have the JavaScript skills, or maybe you have the C# skills or the Python skills. Well, in order to be a test engineer, learning automated frameworks is big. So like maybe you have a little bit of time and have 6 months to go learn an automated framework. That would be big to have. Those skills are always employable. And if you're willing to put a little bit more time into your learning development, it's a good way to go about it. So learning new skills, and that's just an example. There's a lot of other skills that you can go out there and learn in a very short amount of time. creating a resume that is tailored to that type of job. So, right on your resume, you want your resume to look like a software support engineer or an implementation engineer, and understand the requirements of those jobs and how you work with customers. Maybe prior to joining or getting into a tech career, maybe you're a salesperson at a manufacturing plant. Well, you had to deal with customers there, right? So that experience, while it's not tech related, it's related to the job, understanding customers' needs, understanding how to fulfill customers' needs. So being able to create a resume tailored around your experience and what they would be looking for on a resume and to interview. Um, this is probably the most important one. Um, create a If you don't already, create a LinkedIn presence, right? Get on LinkedIn. Everybody knows somebody and somebody knows everybody. And so create a LinkedIn presence, get connected with past friends from high school or college or your parents or friends of friends, and just create a LinkedIn network. And your focus is like trying to create a network of tech minded people, right? Individuals who work for tech companies. And the more you create that network and the more you are active in trying to do outreaches and make introductions, the better your job search will be. So scour your network and make sure that if you have a good person that can vouch for you, who is in the tech community, it's always a nice thing to make personalized introductions. So if you have friends or family or whoever it might be that can help you get in the door, make sure you use that as a vehicle to help you. A lot of individuals are scared to ask for help and scared to they just don't feel comfortable saying, "Hey, I'm looking for a job. Do you mind making an introduction to this company or making an introduction for somebody?" You got to do it, and it can be hard, but it's definitely the best route to land a job is to talk to people that you know, talk to people in your network, and be relentless about it. Um, Connecting with the recruiter or hiring manager on LinkedIn, right? So let's say you've identified like 15 jobs that you want to apply for. Well, take a day and do your research and find out who the recruiter is for that specific company and find out who the hiring manager for that specific job would be. Connect with them on LinkedIn, apply to the job. When you connect with them on LinkedIn, leave them a note saying, "Hey, just wanted to let you know I applied to this job. Looking forward to hearing back on what you all think." Um, just trying to put two and two together, right? Like if you're just a resume in an application and you're just one of 100, it's hard to be seen. But if you're touching the recruiter and hiring manager on multiple platforms, your name starts to poke out a little bit, and they're more willing to, uh, look at your resume and look at your application and bring you in for an interview. Um, Being honest is always good. Like, hey, if you're an entry level person, you're an entry level person. Don't try to make yourself better than you are. You're just looking for an opportunity to break in. And I know people are people, and people like to give people opportunities. And so if you're honest with them and let them know what you're good at, it's always a good route. Don't try to put yourself in as like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Be the sheep, and that's what you are, and it's okay. Um, Another route for formulating the plan is, I talked about this a little bit, emailing the recruiter or hiring manager directly, letting them know you just applied and why you'd be a great fit for the job. Um, if you know the name of the person and you know what the tag is for like the email, like I know for our company, it's first name at edgelink.com. You can kind of Google that stuff and you can find out what their email address is. Use your Google skills and try to find email addresses, and just email the recruiter, email the hiring manager, let them know that you directly applied. That's always a good route as well on top of LinkedIn. So you have basically 3 touch points there. You have your application, you have your LinkedIn note, and you have their email address. The more your name and is coming across, the better, right? Just make yourself recognizable. Um, if you're going for development jobs, always supply like a GitHub or a code sample or a full scale project you might have worked on in the past, so that when you do apply and they look at your experience, like, oh, this person has no experience, But if you supply like a code sample, they can look at what your code looks like and say, okay, they know what they're doing, right? So it's always wise to add that as well. You can have your GitHub, or you can have these samples linked on your resume so they can just click on the link and see what it looks like. But that's always a good route to go. I mean, those skills, and I know we're recording this and this will be sent out to you. It's a lot of information in a very short amount of time, but everybody will get this, so you can kind of go back to what it was. And then the last thing is make sure you're following up, right? Follow up with emails to recruiters or hiring managers, whoever you might have applied to. General rule of thumb is like, if you apply on a Monday, you do a follow up on Wednesday to ask them like, hey, just applied to this job on Monday. Just wanted to see if there's any feedback on my application. You don't hear back, do it again on Friday. And then if you don't hear back, you do it again on Monday. So basically your touching point, over 4 times. It could be annoying to some people, like, gosh, this person won't leave me alone. But at the same time, who cares? They don't know who you are. You're trying to get a job. Don't worry about what other people think about you. Just do it until somebody says, all right, yeah, I'll talk to you, right? And then it's on you. So be annoying to, be annoying, and let people know who you are. From there is, let's say you get the interview, right? You've done all this, you've done your research, you're applied to the right jobs, you've touched out, and you get an interview. When interviewing, it's best to, especially at the entry level, right? Because you don't have some of the experience that maybe other applicants have. And so you got to be prepared. So the more prepared you are for an interview, and understanding the type of questions that you're going to be asked. So usually an interviewer, right, on the very first interview, it could be with a HR person or a recruiter, or it could be directly with the hiring manager. You got to think about what kind of questions they're going to ask, so you're prepared to answer them. So usually they want to talk about you, right? So they would ask, why would you be a good fit for the job? What are your career goals? What interests you about the company? Knowing answers to these questions, I can almost say like 80% of companies are going to ask these questions in the very first interview. So having answers and be prepared to answer these questions before the interview will definitely help. Always come prepared with good questions. I always ask candidates to come prepared with 2 questions about the job and 2 questions about the team. So examples of questions about the job is like, what benchmarks should be achieved in the first 90 days of this job? And they'll let you know like what they expect. And then also what key skills will need to be mastered within the first 30 days of the job. Those are good questions about the job that gives you an idea of like, can I do this job? Am I capable of doing this job? What they expect of me, am I able to do? And then asking about the team. Being a fully remote workforce now, communication is actually stronger because people aren't there, but they want to use Teams or Google Meet or Zoom video or whatever it might be. So teams need to be more collaborative than ever. So asking questions about the team. So describe the culture of the team, or what challenges do the team currently face. Just asking questions about that, what that looks like. And then preparing for the requirements, right? Knowing that they're going to ask you about your experience and what would make you a good QA engineer or a good web developer, or whatever the job might be, but really understand the job and why you applied to it and what relates to it. So when they ask, well, give us your example of JavaScript, or, a product that you've worked on, or whatever it might be, make sure you have an example of it. If you don't have experience within something that's required, own it, and just let them know, like, that's something I've never done, but that's something I really want to do and why I want this job. Feel like I'm a quick learner. I can come in and do it very efficiently. But be honest in the interviews. If you don't know something, admit to it. The hiring managers can read through BS. So they want somebody that's honest. They want somebody who owns up to what they don't know and willing to learn, especially at the entry level. Like, they know they're hiring somebody that's entry level. Is that person they're hiring willing to learn? And then from that, that's kind of where this presentation goes. A lot of information. I appreciate you kind of listening to me here. I would like to open it up for questions or whatnot. I think we got about 10, 15 minutes left here, so we can open it up if we'd like to.
All right, there are a few questions. Curtis is asking, so how do you see employers validating these languages, frameworks that you have learned? Do they test or look for some sort of certification or portfolio? And then following that up, he also has another question, but I'll let you take that one first.
Yeah, so companies are different. It's usually like if you're going for a software development job, it's usually a technical assessment done either at home or in person, virtually in a live pairing session. But that is the most common technical interview that you'll have is a live coding session. So like if you're going for a UI engineer job and it's JavaScript Angular, they'll have some sort of project or challenge that will be centered around UI, usually centered around like finding bugs or being able to design a template or whatever it might be. But usually that is the way it's done. Sometimes companies are just going to do a technical conversation and asking about your background and asking about products that you've worked on before. So some get pretty technical just in the questioning. But that's usually the route that companies go in assessing technical acumen.
Great. And then following that up, do you have some good keywords that we could put on our resume based on the route we want to go? For example, if it's like database, front end, etc.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what kind of job you're going after, right? So you have to look at the job. You have to understand what you can do and what you can't do. But the first thing is find the job route you want to go. And most of those type of jobs you're going to go after will have the same kind of responsibilities or technical requirements. Um, so it's really about the kind of jobs that you're going after and then being able to tailor your resume towards that. But like, you don't want like 15 different resumes. You want to have like one or two resumes depending on the job. And that's why I was saying like focus on the kind of jobs you solely want to go after and tailor your resume to what that job is.
Great. All right. Robert is asking if I'm interviewing for a software support job, but want to move into software development eventually. Is it okay to say that in response to what your career goals are?
100%. So like and the best way to answer that is, right now you're just trying to break into the technical field. This would be a first job for you within tech, and you feel like you need to learn and grow in order to ultimately make your goal of being a software developer. And so, you have to start somewhere. And so the big thing for me is getting in and learning a system or learning a product, being able to help customers while I'm still able to polish my skills, like on JavaScript or Python or whatever the skills might be. And then ultimately, when the time is right, stay here within the organization and be promoted internally. Companies want to know that you want to be there for a long time and you have a career path. And so your goal is to ultimately stay with that company for a long time and work your way up. But yes, it's a good thing to be honest and open about what you want to achieve in your career.
Great. And then is there a preferred degree to stand out as a better candidate for technical jobs?
Well, degree wise, yeah. So I mean, if you're I mean, computer science, right? Computer science is always a good one. Computer engineering is always a good one. Mathematics is always a good one. Um, you know, uh, physics is always okay. Like having some sort of science degree, BS in something is always nice. Um, but I think uh, there's a reason why you're going to go to a tech academy, right? Maybe you graduated in marketing and then you want to make that transition and you go to the tech academy and you learn your new skills there, but you continually learn, right? Don't just use the tech academy's skills that you learn, like sign up for Pluralsight or there's so many other learning platforms out there so you can continually learn and grow and add different skill sets to your resume.
Great. And then any other question? Okay, there we go. Emily, are there languages beside Python and SQL that you're seeing a lot of demand for?
Yeah, so just a clarification on that too. Like that's really kind of centered around database jobs, so database engineering, database. So I mean SQL, Python, Python's for the scripting and automation of a database, and then SQL is obviously the development of the actual database and queries. But it's across the board. I mean, you name anything, every job, honestly, right now is hot. So whether if let's just put it this way. So if you're JavaScript, right? Let's say you're a web developer and you have developed some really good skills with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, don't stop there. Create a framework too. So go React is the #1 framework right now for front end developers. So go learn React. Take your time, take 6 months, learn React, and make that part of your repertoire. Angular is also a big framework on the front end that is used quite frequently, mostly with larger organizations, companies that are enterprise wide. Angular is pretty big. So that's always good. I would always talk about, like, let's say you're a back end and you know Java. Well, make sure you know the framework. So Spring is a common framework with Java. Take some time to learn Spring. Always try to compound your skill with more skills that are related to that. C#.net. But to be honest, any job, JavaScript, Java, C#, Python, Ruby, I could go on and on. Everybody's hiring for what there's plenty of jobs out there with those skill sets.
Okay. So Albert, to go on top of that, I've been gravitating towards Python in personal projects as well, but want to be a full stack developer eventually. Should I continue looking for full stack jobs or maybe go towards a database job because of my love and knowledge of Python right now?
Yeah,
Python.
Go that route. It's going to take a lot longer because if you don't have experience as a full stack developer, it's really hard to break in. It's really hard to break in. So go like Python, right? Python can be used for scripting. It's big, like in database analysis, database administration, database support. There are thousands upon thousands of database jobs out there, and Python is a great language to have for database type of roles. If your ultimate goal is to go into full stack development, make sure you start learning some sort of front end framework, some sort of front end. Node.js is also a great language to learn for full stack. Or it's a framework, but learning Node.js kind of sits in the middle of JavaScript and whatever the backend system may be there. But Node.js is probably the most common framework language used within full stack development. So if you got Python, go learn Node.js, go learn JavaScript, go learn React, and continue to build those skills out. But if you're looking for a job right now, go find some sort of data job that requires Python. That's always a big thing.
Great, thank you. Any other questions?
I got a question for you, Michael. How do you find jobs with blockchain and cryptocurrency now, or crypto?
How do I find them, or how are they widespread?
Are they widespread? Just how's the market with those right now?
Very. There's a lot more people that want to do it than the jobs that are out there for them. Right, that's one where the demand is or the supply is larger than the demand. A lot of people want to get into it because it's cool, and it's exciting, and it's new, and it's kind of all greenfield development, and it's like the new thing, right? And so the best way to go about those kind of jobs is finding out what kind of companies are doing that. The majority of those jobs are fully remote, so you can work anywhere with them. But there's hundreds of companies out there with some sort of job, whether it's support, whether it's the actual currency, or whether it's like a ticker. There's a lot of companies that are revolved around crypto and blockchain, and it's a hot market. If you have a passion, the one thing that they look for, obviously the technical skills are important, but if you have a passion of that certain realm, is really big, especially in crypto and blockchain. Like if you have a passion, you have a really good understanding of that system, that's really important to land one of those jobs as well.
How about the metaverse?
That's the metaverse is a different animal. I mean, you're looking at, like, it's kind of like blockchain. So blockchain crypto, right? It was developed like very early 2000s, but now it's just starting to take off in the last 5 years, right? So it's been around, the technology's been around for 20 some odd years, but it's just starting to take off. So it's almost like the metaverse, right? Right now we're in the very beginning stages of the metaverse and the virtual reality world. I would say those jobs getting in now, if you go with the right company, you could be very, very, very rich in about 20 years if you get in early and make that your career. Because I would say in about 20 years, that's what everything's gonna be kind of centered around. So it's a cool thing to get into early. It's an interesting industry to see where it goes.
Cool. Great info.
Any other questions? And if you can't think of anything right now, that's totally fine. I can definitely share. You guys can definitely watch this video back. We're recording it. And also I can share Michael's LinkedIn if that's the best way to contact you, in case you guys come up with questions. So let me share that with you guys.
And we've done this in the past, and like there's a few people have followed up on it. I haven't really been able to help very many get jobs just because based on the fact of like, kind of what our clients are using us for. But I am always open to do like a resume critique or speak with you all in a one-on-one setting and just give you advice or help you kind of tailor a job search or whatever. So I'm more than happy to help. My email is pretty simple. It's just michael@edgelink.com. And you're free to like email me and tell me what you're all about. Tell me what you got going on. Ask me to review your resume. If you want to jump like on 10-15 minute call, we can absolutely do that as well. So, I mean, I know I'm presenting here today and it's a lot of information in a very short amount of time. And so I know I probably didn't answer everybody's questions, but I'm around to help you in a one-on-one setting if you'd like me to, or at least help you kind of get you pointed in the right direction.
Thank you very much. Yeah, definitely reach out. But if you guys do want to watch back the recording, we'll be either posting it later today or tomorrow. And here's a link to our Tech Talk playlist. You can watch this talk and the previous ones as well. Here you guys go. Also, next week we have another Tech Talk coming up. And we actually have our co-founder, Eric Rose. He's going to talk about building community. And here it is, if you guys want to join that one. On Meetup, but if you have Eventbrite, it should be under our Eventbrite page where you guys found this event. But other than that, thank you so much, Michael. Thanks for everyone joining. I hope everyone has a great Friday and reach out to us if you guys have any questions. Yeah,
please do reach out to me. I will forward this PowerPoint along to you as well if you want it, so you can send it out to people if they want a hard copy of it.
Great, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, great presentation, Michael. We appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Have a great weekend.
Bye now.
Bye, guys.